Yeah, he did a little bit of light shooting. Don't have a new update.
Light shooting.
So for what their standards are, with their pick-and-roll defense, you guys had quite a bit of success against their switching. What do you think went well?
You know, I thought at times we did things with purpose. You know, we were able to get some plays in between. I think that kind of helped, so we weren't just only, you know, facing, you know, the strength of their defense. But there are times that we weren't doing it with enough intention and purpose, and you know, that's where they're really good. They're unique. You know, their ability to kind of muck it up and get you in the mud, limit your ball and body movement, and can really protect the rim well. You know, particularly with Williams, we got stuck there a few times. But in the second half, we're, you know, more intentional, and that's what you know it's going to take, even if you're missing shots.
Erik, are you at the point now where most of your off days are going to be kind of like today? But, I mean, are you going to do a whole ton of on-court the rest of the way, or is it
I don't
kind of
know. You know, with every other day, and the fact that we're you know, already a month into it, you can gain a lot from what we just did. You know, we had practice days before this series started. We also have to, you know, manage everything the best that we can. I view this as a practice. It doesn't have to be on the court, training camp and pads and braces and all that stuff. We still can get a lot accomplished, and you know, with the film and sometimes walk through.
Does that complicate whatever the return to play path for Kyle will be?
No.
When he's ready, he's ready.
No, we still have enough bodies. Look, we have 17 bodies. You know, so when we get to a point where we need to, you know, start scrimmaging or get some live action, we can do that.
Erik, I know coaches always believe that the game's not over till the final buzzer. When you hear your team's victory anthem play with 4 minutes left to go against a competitive team like Boston, one, did you take notice of that? And two, might you prefer if they wait a little longer? You know what? I did not notice it last night. And it took me like probably 5 games during the regular season to realize, you know, when our players were like getting all hyped up in the huddle, I'm like looking around, like focus, you know? And then, you know, everybody told me to get my head out of the sand, and I realized what it was. I didn't even know it was played last night. So your question is, should I have yelled at somebody for them not playing it that early? Or is 4 minutes
if
of
I
a
do
low?
it, yeah. At that point, I thought the game was very much in the balance.
Maybe they should
I will talk to the appropriate people.
Erik, with Gabe and Max and Caleb, besides the willingness to put in the work, there's a maturity, sort of a groundedness to them. I'm curious, do you, Chet, Pat, Andy, Adam, talk about qualities you want, like that character maturity in the young guys that you choose to develop? How much is something which you all is that something you actively look for?
It's a big part of it. You have to have, you got to find the right kind of guys that have the makeup that can, you know, prosper in our environment. And that's not everybody. And that's not an indictment on anybody that's not. You know, you have to have a certain approach, and both those guys do. They're both very mature. They played 4 years of college. Max, this transfer year, maybe 5 years, I don't know. But you know, even as you know, as they come in as young players, they both played, you know, in the G League, summer leagues, and have spent a lot of time in our player development program. And they're both over 25 years old. I view them as vets, not as young players.
And not being sick at sea, to use your term, where they raise their game in pressure moments, as we've seen from both the last week. I guess it doesn't surprise you because of the maturity and the work they put in, right?
Yeah, they both have chips on their shoulders. They both have gained a confidence from their work, and also seeing it be successful during the regular season, you know, in big moments. And they both have earned the trust of everybody in the locker room, staff and players alike, and that's not something that's happened overnight. It's been weeks and months.
Erik, what do you remember about Max in Boston? Tyler and Bam said they didn't even know he played for the Celtics. Was there something you kind of identified when
I
he was
didn't
playing
know.
there?
You got to ask
know either.
the scouting department. I remember the first time, Adam brought up his name. I watched a bunch of film. That was the first time I'd ever seen him play. Was literally about a week before we signed him here.
What do you remember about the early days he was here? I think Tyler said he didn't miss a shot the first time he was on the court.
Yeah, I don't really notice or care about that. It's more about the approach, the professionalism, the work ethic, and then having the grit and perseverance and mental stability to do that consistently during a long NBA season. And everybody can do it for a week, or it's going great at the beginning, but then you get 3 months into the season. I think we all get revealed on what our makeup is, and both those guys, ferocious and consistent with their work ethic, and that's probably what I noticed with Max. 3 or 4 months through last year, the season, and then staying consistent even when he was out of the rotation. That can sometimes set guys a little bit sideways, and it didn't.
Erik, these reminders that
It's disappointing. It's like every single time we think like, all right, this is kind of getting behind us. It's not, and it's frustrating, for all of us. And you don't want to see it on either side. You want to play, against their best and try to beat their best with our best. It's just not the world we're living in right now. And it's really been 3 years of this.
Spo, do you
expect the unexpected?
Do you have an injury update for PJ Tucker, and is placing an injury designation on him is it kind of a moot point at
I
this
don't want to
point?
get cursed out today, so I didn't ask him.
You mentioned the lack of ball movement. Do you see this as a series where Butler and Hero are just going to have to rescue more possessions than usual?
They're a unique defensive team. I think we're gonna have to fight for what we do, how we do it, and try to get to that more often than not. But that's also, you have great players. You get to this time of year, you can have all the greatest plans of shifting the defense and moving them and playing out of closeouts. It gets tougher and tougher each round, to be able to do that. And they're so well schooled and well coached and really competitive, two-way guys. You got to get whatever you can get, and they're probably saying the same thing. But we would like to, try to, the way we've played all year, have segments of the game where we can get to that. We saw that last night. And, you're not going to get to that all the time, and I think the balance that we had was appropriate. But it wasn't, too much of that. You get to too much of that, and they're really good. You just saw it in the previous 2 rounds of the kind of offensive talents. They're able to limit, 2 really good offensive teams down. It's going to take a real collective effort offensively.
Tyler
League-wide.
mentioned that each game is itself, but at the beginning of the series for you, is there sort of a feel-out period what the other team's trying to do? And
Yeah.
then with Marcus and Al possibly coming back at some point, you kind of have to go through that again.
Yeah, but we've been dealing with this now for a month. Dealing with guys in and out, or preparing for the possibilities of guys coming back, and even with us. That's just what you have to deal with.
So knowing that this was going to be a series with 2 great defenses, Jimmy's ability to get to the free throw line just be relentless, continuing to attack the rim. How does that wear down a defense as elite as Boston?
There was an element of ground and pound, and Boston typically does a really good job of defending, without fouling. So Jimmy's ability just to create something and get, defenses in compromised positions is a skill. It's just, they'll be trying to take that away where they're not fouling them, but he's great at it, and it allowed us to kind of control the game, on certain important segments of it.
League-wide, the percentage of shots at the rim has dropped for 5 straight postseasons. Just how difficult is it to get to the rim in the playoffs, and do you have any idea why shots at the rim might be dropping?
I don't, but I just know it is difficult. You talk about like all year long or the last several years, you know, the shot quality, and you want to get to layups, free throws, threes. Good luck if that's all you're trying to get to in, you know, the conference finals and beyond. Everybody's just too well drilled and scouting and prepped. It just increases tenfold. So you have to make some of these plays in between. That's where Tyler was really important last night as well.
You prioritize rim protection a little bit more?
We always do, and we got eviscerated in the first half. It just shows you the kind of talent that we're dealing with. You know, we do it very well, and they were carving us up in the paint at an historic rate in the first half. And it wasn't all about us. You can't just say like, we got to do it better. Yeah, certainly we do, but they're also, you know, very challenging. They put a lot of pressure on your defense, and you have to do a lot of things with great intensity and detail. You know, you can't just run around. You have to do it with focus and intention.
So just to follow up on what you were saying with Max and the mental consistency, how rare is that in your experience for a young player who hasn't played much to maintain that throughout his first year or two in the league?
Yeah, we've had, you know, some guys that have been able to do it, some guys that haven't, but, you know, he went through a full season last year with us and a full summer league, so he's not a rookie. And I get why people, a lot of probably the general public out there outside of Florida have no idea who he is. He's been in our program for 2 years. He was outstanding in our summer program and summer league. And he went through a lot of ups and downs and learning experiences last year. I thought those 1,000+ minutes were really important for him. And the minutes are not like typical minutes for a young player. They're minutes with great context, pressure, and expectations. And if it wasn't being done right, vets were going to jump all over him. You know, I think that's the fastest way to learn in this league. And, you know, we're talking now 24 months of that. You know, he's got a lot of experience under his belt.
Erik,
Last two questions.
Erik, the production, the statistics from Jimmy.
Yeah.
But the way he's playing, how much of that is necessary or caused by Kyle not being out there?
That's part of it, I'm sure. You know, the two of them are really similar in this regard, that they are such great competitors that they have a sense, an innate sense of what's needed for the team. And if they feel like, you know, you need more scoring or more offensive punch, you know, as we've needed in some of the games, we needed it. We're playing against an elite defense. You know, Jimmy was able to make some plays that were in between. You know, that, I'm not talking about mid-range. I'm just talking about like kind of just random plays that great players make. And he knows that we needed that. And he's able to kind of do that, or if he calls for other guys to score and he needs to be a facilitator, he can toggle back and forth, you know, between those roles.
Last question. All right, Coach,
Thank you.